At the beginning of the 20th century, it's been assessed that the population of all humans on Earth was around 1.6 billion. Once the 1950s had arrived, that number had doubled, and by the turn of the new millennium, reached in excess of 6 billion. One research agency projects that in just a few decades, the world's population will peak at 9.4 billion. Ultimately, these trends are not a promising sign for the future of human life on Earth, and that doesn't even consider all of those currently unable to adequately meet their basic needs today. 1 out of every 8 people cannot sufficiently feed themselves, and in excess of 1.3 billion go without reliable access to electricity. With that said, however, attempts to reduce these worrying trends through education in less developed countries have been met with success worthy of optimism. But while the more disconnected side of us may tell us not to be concerned in our lifetimes, these are 10 unlikely resources our world is using up at an alarming rate which should make us think twice. Number 10. Sand. While it might seem as nonsensical to talk about a shortage of sand as it would be to talk about, well, a shortage of sand on a beach, this shortage is only too real. Sand surrounds us every day, in everything from glass to asphalt and concrete to computer chips. Sand makes it all possible. It is estimated that sand and gravel encumbers up to 85% of the world's mining output, and it's being depleted at an alarming rate. China, just by itself, has extracted and put to use more sand during the last 4 years than the United States did in all of the 20th century. In India, an organised crime syndicate dubbed the Sand Mafia have monopolised the sand industry, forcing a major construction project, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, a city completely enclosed in sand, to import it from Australia. Number 9. Viable treatments for gonorrhea. While the first wave of antibiotics used to treat gonorrhea were available as far back as the 1940s, like other bacterial pathogens, gonorrhea has, over the past several decades, been able to mutate and adapt itself, all the while slowly building up resistance to our treatments. Today, antibiotics have become virtually useless against it, with only one remaining antibiotic, which is reasonably effective in treating it. Researchers are now urging the public to exercise caution in the bedroom to a much greater extent than in previous years. Gonorrhea is the most commonly sexually transmitted disease in the world, with 50% of women unaware they even have the disease, allowing it to spread unrestrained. Number 8. Helium. Although it may be the second most abundant element in the universe, its supply here on Earth, as a non-renewable resource, is becoming rather limited. Helium, beyond its immeasurable importance at children's birthday parties, is used across a wide range of technological applications, such as lowering the temperature of semiconductor magnets in MRI machines and critical equipment in satellites, as well as allowing researchers to slow down and observe quantum effects to build our understanding of physics in developing considerably more advanced computers than those that currently exist, known as quantum computers. Many of these applications simply cannot be replaced by any other element. However, it is expected that within the coming decades, commercial endeavours will be made to extract helium from the moon. Number 7. Lethal injection drugs. For those of us that oppose the death penalty, this shortage will likely appear to be more of a godsend than a crisis, but the shortage is nonetheless unique, as it is the only one on the list which is completely legislative in nature. In May of 2016, pharmaceutical titan Pfizer became the last nail in the coffin in a joint effort with another 20 American and European pharmaceutical giants to prohibit the use of their drugs in executions by US states still practicing the death penalty. And attempts to import these drugs from countries that still produce them have been met with seizures by federal agencies, making them all but impossible to resupply. Number 6. Dirt. Current estimates by scientists predict that within the next 60 years, the world's topsoil will be almost entirely gone. This is thought to be a result of the nature of our farming practices, which emphasize a single type of crop, stripping the soil of nutrients and rendering it useless. And with population set to soar, it's expected that food demand will rise by 50% over the coming decades. This, coupled with a projected 30% drop in food production over the same time period, is fueling a worrying outlook for scientists and policymakers about the future of global food security. Number 5. Sperm. An exhaustive study examining the sperm count and concentration from 1973 to 2011 in North America, Europe, Australia and New Zealand found that it had declined by 52.4%. Far from being only an indicator of poor reproductive health, low sperm count and concentration has been linked with more illness throughout life and an earlier death. Scientists suspect the major culprits to be a drop in the quality of our diets, heightened levels of stress, and higher exposure to pesticides and endocrine disrupting chemicals such as BPA found in certain types of plastic. Number 4. Fish. According to the World Wildlife Foundation, if the world continues to fish at its current pace, the oceans will be completely devoid of fish within the next 30 years. Global fish catch is declining by 2% every year, and this is especially worrying given the enormous underreporting to the FAO that is rampant among the major fisheries. In China, which has the largest fishing catch by far, 92% of all fishing is left unreported, with the global figure at 40%. This is already having knock-on effects in destabilizing the aquatic food chain and destroying marine ecosystems and biodiversity. Number 3. Data storage. With the emerging Internet of Things just around the corner, which is anticipated to bring a plethora of new devices such as home appliances as well as energy, manufacturing, transportation, and security infrastructure online into the 21st century, an enormous influx of data and hence requirements for data storage is expected to become a pressing issue within the coming years. By 2020, it is expected that there will be 26 billion additional devices networked globally, not including the extra 7 billion traditional computing devices such as smartphones, PCs and tablets. However, hope may be on the horizon. There are currently many candidates for the future of data storage showing promise. In 2013, researchers from the European Bioinformatics Institute were able to store megabytes of data onto a single strand of DNA. And in 2017, an Australian-Chinese research team successfully encoded information using laser light, creating the world's thinnest hologram, paving the way for ultra-high-density holographic storage in even small consumer devices such as smartphones and PCs. Number 2. Gold. In the last 10 years, the discovery of new gold reserves has declined significantly. High levels of risk associated with mining gold have also forced many companies in the mining sector to cancel a large portion of projects involving its excavation. Investment in gold has declined from $10 billion US in 2012 to scarcely $4 billion in 2016. Based on current trends, it is anticipated that the supply of gold will plummet by between 15 and 20% within the next 4 years. However, ambitious sci-fi style solutions may be just around the corner. In 2015, astronautics company Planetary Resources launched the first spacecraft to test asteroid prospecting technology on orbit. Although this may be just the first small step towards establishing off-world mining projects, it is still nonetheless both a remarkable and a crucial one. Number 1. Nurses. There are many contributing factors which have led us to this shortage. Firstly, the proportion of elderly within the population has and will continue to expand enormously. It is expected that from 2010 to 2030, the population of elderly in the US will rise by 75% to 69 million, or 1 in 5 US citizens. This is a frightening statistic, especially when one considers the already existing decline in nurse numbers, which is already today being strained by the 80% of older individuals who live with a chronic disease and the 68% that live with two. The decline itself, however, is a result of insufficient funding and infrastructure for nursing education, with tens of thousands of qualified applicants being turned away every year due to inadequate numbers of educational facilities and teaching staff, both academic and clinical. To make matters worse, all of this is happening while the existing nursing workforce itself slowly ages and moves into retirement.